just the members who are present. I'll just start briefly that how many of us have websites? Just by show of hands. If you're running a website, either a personal website or an organizational website. Okay, I see at least one person from the crowd, but I believe since you're here, at least you have ever visited a website. You know what it means to have a website. All of us here, I think, have emails because this is the media that we use for communicating. And all of us, since it is AFRINIC-31, we all have access to the internet. So if you look at the internet ecosystem, there are some basic components, and then there are other components that are a little bit robust. But here we are going to look at the basic components, but some of these basic components will require to some technical experience or expertise. One of the key challenges that Africa faces is that the population continues to grow exponentially, and the internet penetration rate is running at approximately 25%. And in the coming 3 years or so, does this really match the modern internet ecosystem? Business companies, organizations are concerned about web presence, but are not adopting these modern internet standards. I'll be speaking shortly about these respective modern internet standards. So you'll find that when you're looking for a domain, you're only looking at mainly two factors. One, your name, and two, your server. The rest, by that, or you do not care about what transpires behind the internet. I think this sticker. Okay, so one of the things that over 90% of the websites in Africa do not conform to these modern internet standards. That's a fact. Because we still have a challenge of DNS penetration. Domains are not propagating to the DNS. DNSSEC is still an issue within Africa. Now, the DNSSEC is one of the key components to be looked at the modern internet standards. And many businesses and individuals, as I had mentioned, are still getting online each other day. And they're not even bothered still about encryption, IPv6, certificates, TLS, DANES, and all these kinds of things. Yeah. Now, these terminologies seem to be a little bit complex or complicated, but you get to understand them slowly as we get on. So what is the Internet.Africa? This is a platform that is currently being developed that is going to enable African stakeholders, internet fraternity, to be able to run internet check on their websites, emails, internet connections, whether they conform to these respective standards. Hence, we shall be looking at providing a more reliable and further growth of the internet within Africa. Over the previous 2 days, we have been having at least a discussion that here within our respective networks, later on, we shall be able to see that even our own connection during this AFRINIC meeting does not follow the modern internet standards because you're only propagating IPv4. And in case someone could be having a machine that is running IPv6, they could have been having issues with connectivity. So if we're looking at a reliable internet ecosystem, one of the key standards is promotion of IPv6. Because since we all know that we have these resources, but are we going to still remain in the back and say, since we have IPv4s, let's not adopt IPv6? But if the other regions, approximately Europe, has up 30% deployment of IPv6, and if we are going to be able to match our internet ecosystem to match the standards of Europe, then we have no option but to jump onto the bandwagon effect to be able to adopt these respective standards. I'll skip this slide for the moment, but we shall get to it at a certain point. So, this is just a few of the examples of what it takes to have the modern internet standards. One of them is, I've already given a brief about IPv6. Is there anyone here who doesn't understand what IPv6 is? I'll take it that everyone understands and knows what IPv6 is. DNSSEC, HTTPS, TLS. I'll give a brief description on what HTTPS is. Very many times you've been visiting website and okay, this website is not secure. You would want to proceed, or maybe this website is a website that looks like it's going to steal your information, and you get scared and you don't want to visit the website. But this simply means that the website does not have security assigned certificates. That is the SSL security certificates. And TLS encryption works well for the emails. And also there's DMARC, DKIM, and SPF. All these we shall come to them at a later point. So if your domain is not signed with a valid signature, that's the DNS signature, the visitors with the enabled domain signature validation are not protected against manipulated translation from your domain into the wrong internet addresses. So this is the point whereby when you run the check, you have to get to your provider and ask them, often that is your registrar or your hosting provider, please enable DNSSEC, because I'm having issues, and according to the reports is that I'm not conforming to these standards. And then they'll obviously tell you what you have to do, or they'll have to react immediately in case you're able to match these standards. So a brief of what you need to be able to get into DNSSEC is that you will need the key tag algorithm, because the DNSSEC has these records, and these records are small pieces of information that enable and assist in the delegation of your name into the registry. So if you have the key tag, which is an algorithm or a digest, it's important. Then you need a flag, you need a public key, then you need the ZSK or KSK encryptions, and some registries require the public key to be passed and generated, and the digest from their own system. So if you do not understand your system, this is the point whereby you have to look at your systems administrator or your IT officer to be able to understand this. And the biggest challenge is that most of these people do not understand these things. And so in case you get back, you have to encourage them to take further training in case they get lost about this DNSSEC. Because we've had a challenge whereby someone has serious qualifications of being a systems administrator, and they don't know what DNSSEC is. Many of us go to educational, have some bit of education, and you come out graduated and you do not know what ICANN is. You don't know what AFRINIC is. So there's still a lot of capacity building to be able to understand these organizations, AFNOG, which help to train network engineers. And please, in case you have the opportunity to convince your managers to be able to come to these trainings, these are really technical trainings that you'll not be able to get them in class or in school, but you can only get them when you're practicing. So these terminologies are taught there. How you can be able to make these appropriate configurations, you can find them in these technical trainings. And so some of there are currently two countries that have been able to enable the internet checkpoint. That is the Dutch internet standards, and then the web check, which is a Portugal-based webcheck.pt. So this shows us that there is clearly a large gap in the deployment of the standards. And in Africa, globally, there is no any other platform that has been deployed apart from these two. So in Africa, the Internet.Africa is the platform that will be passed on, probably by AIS. It will be ready to be visited, and you can be able to run checks which are strictly tailored towards the Africa region. So a lot of work is being done by the technical team, and also the volunteer, the Africa Modern Internet Standards Taskforce, in making sure that this work goes on. So I'll just simply walk straight to demonstrate how this platform works for modern internet standards. So those who are on the internet right now, you can visit the internet.l as an example of how it works. So if you look at is that there are mainly three things that you can be able to check on the modern internet standards, which is one, you can be able to test your website, you can be able to test your email, and then you can also be able to test the connection. And if you look this is approximately 97% of the standards, and we shall be able to ask ourselves why is it that we are at 97% and we are not at 100%. We know that the AFRINIC website is reachable both on IPv4 and IPv6, so it has a very good green tick there. AFRINIC has at least this domain name assigned with DNSSEC, but where do we have the issue? The issue is that the connection is not insufficient or secured by HTTPS, and we shall get down there. Which specific aspect of HTTPS is it really not secured to? That's the screenshot of the IPv6 still on the AFRINIC website. We have the DNSSEC, so it's very clear and very well implemented there. Now let's get to HTTPS. It's bad that the connection to the website is not sufficiently secured, but if you look at the various components of the HTTPS, there is the last point, which is HSTS. So at HSTS, you define that the web server offers an HTTPS policy with a cache validity period. This is a policy that helps to govern enhanced security on the website. And this policy on the AFRINIC website is not sufficient enough. So the more explanation is that if you check that the web server supports this, it forces a web browser to connect directly via HTTPS when revisiting your website. This helps in preventing man-in-the-middle attacks. So that shows that that is an enhanced security feature that comes with HTTPS. So you look at probably you have an encryption set within your respective server, and how much validity of the encryption do you have implemented when it comes to HTTPS? So it's not just that you have the HTTPS up there on your website. Don't get really so confused, but there are those other smaller bits of security that have to be enabled to be able to make sure that your website conforms to the standards. Let's proceed. TLS, we're very okay. The TLS versions are updated frequently. The certificates are running well, and we have the day in existence on the server, which is really great. But now, the fact that we have now done the tests on the website and is really conforming to the standards, what about our emails? So when we look at our emails, the emails are just able to also achieve approximately 97%. Yeah. And the main reason as to why is still under the same things. That's the percentage. So the email was at 77%. So you find that the email is reachable through IPv6. It has DNSSEC implemented, but not all authenticity marks against email phishing, DMARC, DKIM, and SPS are appropriately implemented within the email system of AFRINIC. So this shows that there is still a vulnerability in the AFRINIC system. So the mail server connections are not insufficiently secured. Yes, SM?
Good morning. Esmun Sami. I'm a subject matter expert for email in the ITF, not in AFRINIC or ICANN or whatever. For example, see you are talking about DMARC. Yeah, you're talking about DMARC. Is DMARC and ITF standard? Jody knows me from the ITF, by the way.
I believe so. Yes.
No, DMARC is not an ITF standard. I did a review of that protocol. It's not an ITF standard. It's been published in the independent stream. I know it because I'm on the board of that stream. So when you put this nice, when you put this nice red button there, it doesn't mean, okay, it's good. It's an indicator of some issues which you should consider. It doesn't mean that you're failing the test. Sorry, one moment.
Thank you very much. I think here the issue is on whether the DMARC is a standard, and I think Jody probably can be able to illustrate that, but I would like to.
You were talking about compliance, because on one of the slides earlier, you were talking about compliance with the standards. There's a lot of ORCs. I publish an ORC, by the way. It's informational. I don't consider it as a standard. There's a difference between standard track documents and other ORCs. So when we're talking about standards, it's good to be clear. It's good to be precise about it. I'm looking at your test for AFRINIC. It's good feedback for AFRINIC. It doesn't mean that the website of AFRINIC is not secure. I know about downgrade attacks. I checked it. I think we are compliant with TLS version 1.3, which was published a few months back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll be taking questions at the end of the presentations.
Thank you very much for that interjection. And you discover that these standards are published by the ITF, and they have got to be followed. So I'm also happy to share that right now, this would have come at a later point, but there is a team of volunteers who are coming up to develop appropriate toolkit following the adoption of modern internet standards for Africa. So let me just proceed with this presentation. So when we're speaking about DMARC and DKIM, we've already got at least a brief explanation of what AFRINIC has been able to do. It has deployed the TLS 1 and 2. But still, there is still a challenge within it does not have a specific DMARC record. And I believe that probably the technical team could be doing works to be able to implement all this to make sure that these standards are adopted within the AFRINIC system itself. Start TLS and DEN TLS, that one we have already been mentioned. And if you look at this, there is no clear information on the TLS version, and then the cipher suites that are being deployed within the AFRINIC website itself. So let's get to the last part of the platform, which is the connection test. When a connection test was run on this network, discover everyone who's here must be aware that we are running only IPv4. So when we do the test on the network, is that still we do not have IPv6 deployment within this network, and it clearly shows within the respective platform. So that's a brief of what is happening within the Internet.Africa platform that will be open very soon for the public to start visiting. So, what's the way forward? So there are some key milestones that have been, there's some work that has been happening in the background to make sure that the platform runs. So when it started officially in 18th June, and in 18th July, the AFRINIC pledged support to be able to support the deployment of this platform. And then we made a call for technical volunteers who joined the technical team that are setting up these things. And then on 20th September, we opened up the registration for the AMIS Taskforce. AMIS Taskforce is the Africa Modern Internet Standards Task Force, which is responsible for discussing how Africa can effectively adopt these standards, conduct appropriate outreach, and technical trainings on deployment of these standards. So in the coming year, you'll be seeing a series of trainings in your respective regions. And in case you're interested in hosting a training on adoption of these standards, please, you can reach out to me anytime. And also on 6th October, I presented at least the roadmap on how these standards can be able to be adopted within the African region. And that's just a brief about the roadmap. Yeah, I've given at least information about the task force is that every 2 months, the task force will be meeting to discuss the adoption of these standards, because since this is a work in progress, and we have the whole Africa region to make sure that it gets into this, it gets these standards adopted in their systems. So there is quite some work. So in case you feel that you can be able to effectively contribute to the task force, you can reach out to me, or you can also send an email. And then one of the tasks is to draw action points to reach more stakeholders in the adoption of these standards. So during the the AIS in 2020, we shall be also launching the first draft of the first Africa Region Modern Internet Standards Toolkit. So already there is some work that is in progress. So in case you want to contribute to this toolkit and you have something, please reach out to me. The technical team is already doing some work on making sure that the platform works effectively. Some tests are already running. And already the technical has members from Uganda, Tanzania, Nigeria, and Egypt. And I'm happy to share, in case you believe that you have technical experience in supporting these standards for Africa region, the doors are still open. And also one of the key things is that there's going to be a technical help desk facility that is going to guide different stakeholders on how they can be able to adopt these standards in their respective regions. What next? Capacity building and training. We are targeting at least 5 regional workshops, building partnerships with various stakeholders, and also the technical support to be provided to farms through a technical help desk facility, and also the draft of the regional standards toolkit that will be coming up next. So how can you support us? You can partner, you can create a community within locally, and then also the most important is to make sure that your systems deploy the open internet standards. Some of the partners that are in the drive for this, you already know some of them, which is AFNOG, Illicit Africa, AFRINIC, the Internet Society, WARCRAN, ICANN, AfricaSat, AFTLD, because all these are so much passionate about the internet ecosystem within Africa region. What else are you left with is to make sure that you have an impact in the drive of this. I'll wake up any respective questions from the members present.
Anybody with any questions? Okay. Thank you very much, Daniel.